We've been discussing this potentially, if the exit poll is correct, quite extraordinary result. And we've been pondering, yes, we're going to get a Labour government. Doesn't seem much doubt about that at this point, unless something has gone drastically wrong. What's the new Labour government going to be like? What's Sir Keir Starmer going to be like as Prime Minister? Who better to discuss it than former Labour leader Niel Kinnock himself? Niel, thank you very much indeed for coming to join us this evening. What do you reckon then? I mean, what a night if this exit poll is correct.
Yeah, a gain of 208, according to the exit poll, which is attributable directly to Keir Starmer and what he's achieved in 4 years, 2 of which, of course, were during the lockdown or virtual lockdown, when the one thing that opposition leaders depend on, contact with the public, was absent. So it's even remarkable. The biggest comeback since Lazarus.
You lived through 97. How does this night potentially compare?
Well, it's been a bit shorter. That time it was 18 years, thanks in some respects to me not doing it in 92. But 14 years has appeared to be a very, very, very long time. And, of course, the big difference is not just the incompetence of these 14 years, but the decadence, especially of the last 5 or 6 years, which has really offended people right across the country, which is why we're seeing such a spirit of revulsion against the Conservatives. Now, it's true that always governments lose elections rather than oppositions win them, and the same mixture occurs on this occasion. Governments lose and the opposition makes its contribution by being credible and gaining ground. But this is even more graphic, even more of an assertion of the public will that they will not put up with misconduct in government. Mistakes, everybody makes mistakes, but not misconduct.
A night's like this a little bit bittersweet for you? I mean, 92 was a totally different thing, was much closer, you know, the world was different. There's not much point in making a comparison.
Different age.
Different age, sure. But do you watch a Labour leader about to walk into Downing Street? Is there just a tiny bit of you that at some point in the night thinks, could have been me?
Well, last time round, when Tony and Cherie walked through that door, it wouldn't have been human of me not to have reflected for a millisecond, God damn, that could have been me and Glenn. But this time, I'm now ancient. And I was relatively modern then, but now I'm prehistoric. And I must say, I'm just ecstatic about the fact that an entirely dependable, fully grown-up guy, Keir Starmer, and his wife are going to go through that door tomorrow. I have unalloyed and unreserved delight.
I think you might agree that it was quite a limited election campaign in the sense that Keir Starmer seemed to take the view, there's lots I don't need to do, there's lots I don't need to say, I just need to give people an idea of the basics of how we're going to be. I mean, you'd probably agree that's a fair assessment of his campaign.
Yeah.
He has done quite a few things that I think are a little bit surprising, like only a few days ago saying we wouldn't rejoin the EU in his lifetime. I mean, were you pleased when you heard something like that, or do you think...
Well, he wouldn't expect me to be pleased by that.
Well, no, I didn't think you would be. It's rather why I'm asking the question.
Well, it's a realistic appraisal of still where a significant proportion of the public are, and unless and until people fully recognise and realise the appalling costs of the bungled Conservative Brexit, and realise that the blame for what is occurring now and will occur for a long time into the future lies not with the voters, but with the utter incompetence of the government and the way in which they struck a kind of a deal with the European Union. And as that realization deepens, and it is, the tide has turned, then there will be a demand for a new and comprehensive relationship. Now, that's what Keir and Rachel Reeves and the whole of our front bench is committed to. They will begin those negotiations in short order on security and the development of defense capability, on economics and trade relationships, on the movement of foodstuffs, on the exchange of visas, especially related to business and to study, including school children. You'll see those sectoral changes being openly negotiated and taking place so that the relationship will be different. And when Keir says he doesn't expect re-entry to the European Union, the single market, in his lifetime, I'm certain what he has in his mind, absolutely certain, is a different enterprise and an innovative relationship with our nearest and biggest market, and of course, our neighbours with whom we share a continent.
Final question, very briefly. Looks like Reform are going to have a very good night. What's your reaction to that?
It's one of, first of all, understanding. I understand why people want to show their revulsion against the Conservatives and have never been particularly friendly towards the Labour Party. And here is an alternative. What bothers me about Reform, as it does all nationalist populists, is that they offer very simple answers to very complex questions, and it invariably ends in tears. Now, I don't think it'll end in the horrors of the last occasion in which Europe was beset by populist nationalists. I don't think we live in such an era. But we have to safeguard against it. It means that social democracy, which will become the government of this country from tomorrow, for at least 5 years, and I hope much longer, cannot afford to fail.
Niel, thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening. I really do appreciate it.